What is going on, everyone? Thrift Barringer here with Rick Beach. It's high school game day, state championship edition from the Benz. Right here for that Carver State Championship game as they take on Burke County. Rick Beach, finally the day is here with all the hard work for all these teams all season long, and finally we have a chance to see a state champion.
Yeah, it's always a big deal to get any team in the area. This Carver team we knew coming into the season, they were one of the favorites in 2A to make it. We knew they'd go through the region pretty good. They did. They had a little bit of a hiccup against a 4A school, very physical game against Harris County, but it seemed like that game was a catapult to where they're at now. Flat out just dominating through the playoffs, and here we are at the Benz.
And we will be going in here in just a moment. What we thought we'd do at High School Game Day State Championship Edition. We are presented by Pepsi Buffalo Rock. We're also presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC, and we are excited. Also, thank you to Gordy Eye Care, official eye care of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Can't not shout them out. But let's talk about these Carver Tigers, okay? So, for one, at the beginning of the season, they came in as a top 5 team, one of the favorites in 2A, moving down a classification. Remember, they made the semifinal last year in 3A. Now they moved down to 2A, and many people thought, all right, they returned a lot of players from a young team last year. This team is built to win now. Well, they took on Harris County after starting 2-0 and lost to Harris County 15-6. Since that moment, Coach Pierre Coffey's team has beaten everyone by 30 points or more. They are only giving up about 3 points a game. They're scoring over 40. They have been on one of the more dominant runs in a playoff stretch I've ever seen. Rick Beach, what can you say? You were there for that game. We both called it together when they took on Harris County, and it's a completely different Carver team.
I think it's just a wake-up call. It's you schedule them games for a reason. They want to play tough competition. A great year to play Harris County. Like we said, they're a physical team up front. And then let Carver know, Coach Coffey could tell them, if you want to win at a big time, you got to win in the trenches. And they didn't win the trenches in that game. But since then, I believe they had an off week after Harris County. They played Northside, another 4A school, and dominated from whistle to whistle. And since then, it's just been a dominant run. You mentioned the offense. Coach Newman, his defense, the dark side, as he calls them, just dominating. Each week, it's, 16 yards, 8 yards rushing, negative yards rushing, and we're talking playoff games.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about that playoff stretch here in just a moment. But when talking about the Carver Tigers, you start with the defense. Their linebackers with Hodge, Billingsley, Watts, Wisdom. I mean, those 4 guys are the 4 best linebacking core. I don't care, regardless of classification in the state of Georgia. They're fast, they're physical, they're scary, and they're lights out, and they're the leaders on it. But it's the offense. I figured the defense would be good. The defense was good last year. But the offense is what's made the biggest strides, and it's led by their sophomore quarterback, Matthew Mungan. Junior quarterback, Matthew Mungan. He looks every bit the size of a quarterback. 6'5", full of muscle, fast, and has got a really strong arm. But now it seems like the game's slowing down for him. And Coach Coffey talks about his progression has been one of the main reasons why this offense has been so lights out. But having a good run game means a successful quarterback. You know about the run game, and they got 2 great tailbacks in Popcorn Tarver and Jacoby Casson, each with over 1,000 yards. That sets a tone, doesn't it, Rick?
Oh, absolutely. It opens up the passing game. Then part of the passing game, the checkdowns, when he can check down, knowing he's checking to an elite athlete that can make a play, that catch a ball behind the line and make positive gain out of it. That's a big play when a quarterback, knowing that, it gives you so much more confidence.
Exactly right. And in that playoff stretch, they have played Appling County. We were there for that. That was a bloodbath. It was an absolute dominant performance. I think the most surprising one was beating the defending 2A state champion Pierce County. They beat them at Otis Spencer Stadium 44-8. So they have not had one close playoff call, and they have dominated by 20 points or more, and the last 2 by 30 points, close to 40 points. And it's led by that offense and the defense of the Carver Tigers. But they're taking on Burke County. Everybody's like, where's Burke County from? And I'm going to let you do the pleasure because you're wearing the Georgia Till I Die hat. You got to know other counties in Georgia.
Yeah, Burke County is about 2.5 hours from Atlanta. It's on the coast. It's right on the Atlantic Ocean. They're coming all the way across the state, it seems like. But you got to think, they've seen the stats. They've seen how much Carver's been dominating. They got to prove a point. You don't want to lose. You definitely don't want to get embarrassed. Burke County's coming out here to send a message. They're playing for state. They've worked just as hard to get here, so they're going to try to upset this Carver team that you believe's got to be the big-time favorite in this game, considering how they've dominated people this year.
Exactly right, and I've enjoyed watching, seeing how every single week you think that, all right, what if they start making turnovers? Or what if this offense is a little bit different compared to other It doesn't matter. It can be a different offense, can be a game plan, different scheme. This defense has been lights out and dominating. And even in their one loss against Harris County only scored 15 points.
Yeah.
It's not like they had 400 yards of 500 yards of offense with 30 points. They only scored 15 on this dark side defense. It was the offense that had some struggles, and you've seen they've made their progressions. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Burke County's offense and why they may potentially give this Carver defense some trouble. We'll give our predictions and more. It's High School Game Day State Championship Edition here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Welcome to the Campus Academy Private School, where every student is celebrated for their individuality. With personalized curriculum, students unlock their potential, growing into confident learners. At the Campus Academy, we give teachers the freedom to create dynamic classrooms where every student's voice is heard. Discover the difference. Enroll your child today and watch them thrive.
Shit.
I'm thirsty.
Try this.
Starry.
It's a lemon lime soda that's crisp, clear, and
So refreshing.
bro, yeah, it was a soda.
Starry lemon lime soda. It's different.
Welcome back, everyone, to High School Game Day State Championship Edition. They're at Barringer Rick Beach here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We are presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. If you're last minute shopper, then go to Glenn Smith Chevrolet. Car, trucks, they got them all. 600 cars and trucks. Inventory is out the wazoo, new, used. Let's see why everybody says get ready to smile. Isn't that right, Rick?
Oh, absolutely. Always ready to smile when you pull on that lot.
Then you got Pepsi. Thank you to Buffalo Rock. Thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. And also thank you to Gordy Eye Care. All right, let's go back to the matchup. Let's talk about Burke County. They have a running back that's got close to 1,700 yards. Their quarterback makes plays. He has 19 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. They can throw the ball when needed. This is a run-heavy offense that's gotten close to 4,000 yards on the ground this season. What are some of your keys for Burke County? They did dominate the number 1 team last week, Rockmart, at Rockmart, which was a great win. But they've had some struggles throughout this playoff run. Their one loss came to Benedictine, a 4A school in the state of Georgia, who Carver played 3 years ago in the state championship, evidently enough. But let's talk about Burke County. If you're their coaching side, what do they need to do to be effective against, and their keys against this Carver defense?
Oh, it's time of possession. You got to convert third down, and you got to run the ball. If you could leave, you mentioned that winning by 30 points or more in each game for Carver. Don't give them the opportunity to score 30.
Right.
Try to keep it low, run the ball. I mentioned keep it, got to gain positive yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 4 yards. Got to convert the third downs, keep that Carver offense on the sidelines, and then eat that clock up. But you got to make money when you get in the red zone. You got to score and try to check in on those, then maybe force a couple of turnovers from Carver and put Carver in a spot they haven't been in, trailing,
right.
Deficit, stuff like that Carver hasn't done in months. You got to try to put them in that position. If not, this game could get out of hand quick if you're Burke County because how fast Carver can score.
And the last thing you want to do is go down by 2 touchdowns against this defense because it's going to be tough enough scoring in the first place. You want this to be low scoring. It gets in the 30s. If Carver gets to 30 or high 20s, I basically say kiss it goodnight. They're going to win the state championship. Let's talk about the Carver Tigers. What do they need to do? What are your keys for them to come up victorious and give the city of Columbus and the Georgia part of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live for their first state championship in public schools since Carver in 07, but for all the schools, including private, Pacelli back in 2022?
Yeah, you got to jump a fast start. They got to jump out to a fast start and get the ball rolling. Look, everybody knows how dominant they've been. If you insert your dominance early on and get in Burke County's head, you got a chance to run away with this thing, and that's what Carver has to do. Insert yourself early, show your dominance, prove your dominance, and you can walk away with the state championship.
Here's the thing, too, that I was thinking about with these Carver Tigers is their closest games all came in the first 3 weeks of the season. They beat Whitewater by 7, 20-13. They beat their rival Spencer 17-9, and then they lost to Harris County 15-6. They have not had a close game since. Not one game has been within single digits heading into the fourth quarter since late August in that Harris County game. So you got to think if this does come to a close game, maybe Burke County has a little bit of an edge in that capacity. But I will say, Coach Pierre Coffey, man, took over this program in 2022, made it to the quarterfinals in his first year, last year in the semifinal. He has built it from the ground. And when I say the ground up, I don't mean that the Carver was not a great program. It was a great program before he got there. Heck, they made it to the state championship literally the year before he got there. I'm talking about the fact that he started from young guys. He started from sophomores and freshmen that are now juniors and seniors and leaders on this team that are going to be trying to win a state championship. And if you look, a lot of their roster still underclassmen. They're going to be coming back again next year. What can you say about the coaching job from Coach Pierre Coffey, which I think has been last year was Tommy Watson. This year, the coach of the year, it has to be Pierre Coffey.
Yeah, it's just what you said with the younger guys is knowing what he had and said, okay, we're not going to win state now, but let's try to win it in 23, 24, and get there. And they've gotten there this year by doing that, by having these guys ready to go. You take the lumps. We mentioned even this year, taking the lumps at Harris County.
Right.
You need that to grow as a team. When they got them last year as a team in the playoffs, you get them now. And I'll go back to what we were mentioning with the fast start. That starts with the running game. And that loss to Harris County, they had negative rushing yards, Carver did. They gave up over 100 on the run against Harris County, which is hard to do against Carver. But if you're Burke County, they're going to try that. That's what they're going to try early on. And if you could dominate early on in the run game, and it'll be like that Harris County, you can't let that happen again. And I think they know that. And these young guys haven't. The older guys being through that know, hey, look, this is why we can't do it, because we can lose. It is possible to happen.
Exactly right. And then when looking at this quarterback in Matthew Mungden, you know, maybe in weeks past, maybe going back to last year and this year before the before the Harris County game, you would think if this gets in a close game and you have to rely on your quarterback, can Mungden take the necessary steps to put the team on his back and get you a win? I can say that for certainty. I think he has that capability now. He has grown into that quarterback. I don't know if I would have said that earlier in the year, but now seeing his progression, if this does get into a close game or it gets to the point where, hey, the running game's not there, Matthew, go make a play, I think Mr. Mungden, number 7 for Carver, the team on the hill, can make a statement for sure. So I cannot wait. All right, we're going to get picks here in just a moment. I did want to talk about high school football as a whole, this being the last broadcast. From Harris County going 7-3 in their 4A classification, they were the story of the first half of the season. The story of the second half of the season was the Carver Tigers. But how about also Glenwood being undefeated, the only undefeated team we had regular season-wise in our area? How about the Central Red Devils making it back to the state this year? Brookstone making it to the semifinal. Spencer making it to the playoffs. Hardaway, a much improved team. It seemed like it was a great year for football, and I'm glad we got it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Yeah, fantastic year, up and down from private schools all the way through the public schools, all the way to the 4A to 7A in Alabama.
Russell County, I didn't even mention making the playoffs since '99.
Shaw had a good year, didn't get the into the playoffs as they hoped, and you look at what Hardaway done. You look at some of these teams, and it's just a phenomenal season in the area, the Columbus, Phoenix City area. And, you know, I keep thinking back to Glenwood. It wasn't that they went undefeated. They went public. Yeah. Nobody predicted. We knew people that predicted them have 2 or 3
Noah Shelton, Richard Holdridge, 4-6. So
you look at what they did, how phenomenal that is, not to go public. Something people said for a year, well, Glenwood's good, but they're good, but they can never do it in the public. Right. Then they started to win against Valley. Of all teams, Valley Rams been dominant for years and years. Been a great school, great football program. So you look at how that started the Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We had Harris County, Manchester. We had the Glenwood game starting off, and now here we are at the Dome. It's just been a great year in this area for football, and I'm proud that Georgia Alabama Sports Live has been there for all of it.
Yeah, I am too, man. And Kudzu Sports, we thank you for our partnership. And we won this past year. I didn't bring the trophy. Literally last week, a team award. I knew you were just as proud of it as I was. Community Service Award. Over 60 football games. And if you add flag football, close to 80 games we broadcasted. Just football and flag football. We're not talking soccer. I mean, volleyball. We hadn't talked about softball, wrestling. We're just talking flag football and football. That's how many broadcasts we've done in the last couple of months. And it's without guys like you, Brandon Swobel, Chris Gates, Torigar Isla, Noah Shelton, Mike Peacock, Rex Castillo, of course, Richard Holdridge. None of this, I'm going to emphasize it, none of this would be possible. Our new member, Tyler Dykes, we set to do this last year, me and you, is something just to have fun with it, because we would have loved doing this when we were in high school. But now it has turned into a lot bigger, to be honest. But I'm proud of the coverage that we're able to give, and we're looking to expand and get even bigger. But I promise you, none of this would be possible without the fan support, without the athletic director support. You know how much they mean to us for allowing us an opportunity to show what we're capable of, and now the sky's the limit.
Yeah, these coaches have all been great. I know working with Harris County, the coaches are phenomenal, but the main thing the coaches appreciate more than anything that Kudzu does, that Georgia Alabama Sports Live does, we give their athletes and their student athletes, you know, a way to prop up, the way to talk about them. We give them
A platform,
to be showed off. You know, these kids they're great kids all together. They're great students, they're great student athletes. But when you put a mic in front of them, they get a chance to get their face out there. They get to hear their name, even if it's just mentioned in a broadcast.
Right.
A long snapper. How many in the past, the long snapper would have never got mentioned?
The kicker, Jimmy Hunter from Brookstone, kicking 50-yard field goals, game winner.
Yeah, but now these kids are getting a full broadcast of their game.
Yeah.
And you mentioned 80 football games, and I'm just more proud of how many volleyball games we was able to do, how many wrestling events, softball. We're getting into some of these archery competition. Richard Holdridge last week.
4 hours archery competition, man.
And that's something that's unique. And I challenge anybody to go to anywhere else in the state and find this much content, focus on these athletes, and you'll be hard pressed to find anything, not just the quality that we're putting out too. So it's not just quantity, it's quality of these broadcasts, of this coverage that we're giving these students. That's what the coaches and athletic directors have fallen in love with.
And we only expect to do more and more as we continue to grow, but it's not without your support, not without our sponsor support. So I had to throw that in there. And thank you to DJ Jones. He's kind of like the overseer, the mentor that we go to. He's the uncle, the granddaddy of them all. And not just for us, for all the media partners, but we specifically want to thank Tony Reese of WTVM and Jack Patterson and Tyler Redmond of RBL, Only Colga. Thank you for all of them. And we're all working together to bring you coverage for all these athletes, for all the hard work that they deserve. All right, I had to throw that in there. Thank you again to DJ for that Community Service Award. Now it's time to talk about the game. I have a feeling in my stomach that says this game's going to be closer than many of us expect. But my heart says 2-3 touchdowns, Carver, but I'm not ready to pick it yet. I'm going to actually give a score, too. I'm going to let Rick Beach give me your keys. How do you feel like this one's going to play off, man?
Burke County's going to run the ball. We know that's going to be that right out the gate. That's going to be their own set.
Right.
They want to run the ball. I think early on they'll be able to. I think halftime adjustments come through. If you're ready for the score now, I think the score is going to be high school. We do get funky numbers. You always get the score.
It's always weird.
It's always weird. So I'll say 26-12. Carver wins, but it'll be a little closer at halftime. Maybe a 14-0, 14-7 game at halftime, and then they'll kind of add on in the second half, stretch it out a little bit.
I got you a weird number. 29-10 is what I have going on right now. And I think Carver does actually kick a field goal, which I saw them kick 2 against Appling. And I'm telling you, I told Coach Coffey, and I had to take the glass off of this, progressions are being made when the Carver Tigers are kicking field goals. And I'm like, man, now what was one of the weaknesses, now you're a complete team. Now you got a strength. Now you got a weapon that you can use. Unbelievable job. 29-10. I want to say thank you to Rick Beach. Thank you to everyone out there. If you're not here, we will not be broadcasting it, unfortunately. We'd love to. Yeah. It'll be on GPB Sports and the NFHS Network. So make sure to go and watch it. GPB Sports. We'll share it on our Facebook page so you can watch these Carver Tigers win. And once the game's over with, we hope to be getting with state championship winning coach Pierre Coffey and interviewing him about his fantastic season. Any other final thoughts, Rick, before we got to run in there and get ready for the game?
Ready to run in there and see this atmosphere. I'm excited to be in the Mercedez Benz down on the field.
First time as for high school, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Getting in there, getting a feel for it. And I'm just excited about this atmosphere we get to see. We've seen a lot of Burke County people walking by, a lot of blue and silver going by. But, hey, them Carver people started filing in about 5-10 minutes ago. So the atmosphere, you can feel it cranking up a little bit.
And your air power falling out is probably a sign that we need to get on and get in
the
there
wind's
right
picking
now.
up.
Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. High school game day. Carver Tigers win us the state championship, baby. We're cheering for you on the hill. Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We'll see you next time.